Everything in life has a quick fix. A shortcut driving, a laundry hack, how to get out of jury duty thing. I want to talk about the big quick fix in spasmodic dysphonia that we all know about and we've all used. Maybe. If you haven't, you're a better person than me. It's alcohol. Let's go. Funny story about this shirt. It's Pride Month as I record this, and this is the Bud Light Pride shirt from several years ago. I was the DJ on a Pride float in Ohio, and honestly, it was one of the coolest things I've ever done in my career because you're just, you're just going through this crowd of incredibly happy, joyous people, and they're celebrating a month that is dedicated to them and their plight in life and being who they are and their most authentic self. And I'm just up there just DJing. And then at the end of the night, Bud Light said, hey, make sure you give those shirts back to us. I didn't do that, but it's been 6 years. I don't think they're coming after me. So today, let's talk about it. Let's talk about alcohol, something I think a lot of people with spasmodic dysphonia have either noticed, wondered about, joked about, or secretly tested, like they were conducting a very unspecific clinical trial at Dave & Buster's. Yep, it's the booze. And I want to be really careful with this topic because I'm not a doctor, I'm not a speech therapist, and I'm not telling anybody to drink. And I'm definitely not presenting alcohol as a treatment plan. This is not medical advice. This is a lifestyle conversation. Because one of the strangest things about spasmodic dysphonia is that for some people, alcohol appears to improve the symptoms rapidly. I wouldn't know any of those people. And if you have this disorder, you know how weird that can be. You can spend all day fighting your voice, pushing through sentences, getting stuck on words, avoiding phone calls, avoiding certain conversations, warming up, stretching, hydrating, trying to find the mask, trying to calm the nervous system. And suddenly, you have a drink, and you're like, there I am. It's such a complicated feeling because one hand, it can work like magic. The other hand, it's absolutely not magic. It is a trade-off. And sometimes a very brutal trade-off. As I know, for me, the part that is fascinating is not just, does the alcohol help the voice? The better question is, what is it helping? Is it relaxing your muscles? Is it calming your nervous system? Is it lowering anxiety? Is it making you less hyper-aware of every voice break? Is it changing the way you hear yourself? Is it taking the edge off, the constant tension of trying to perform a normal speaking voice? Because spasmodic dysphonia is not just a voice issue. It becomes a whole body issue. It becomes a confidence issue, a phone issue, a social issue, a work issue, a performance issue. Do I really want to explain this to one more person today issue? So when something temporarily, there's a little spasmy there. When something temporarily makes easier, of course, people notice. That does not mean it is safe. Definitely does not mean it is healthy. And it absolutely is not sustainable. It just means you're human. And if you've ever had that moment where your voice felt smoother after a drink, you're not crazy. You're not alone. I know somebody else who feels that way. But here's where the problem comes in. The check always comes. And for the voice, the check is usually due the next day. Because alcohol may temporarily, got through that one, make the spasms feel less intense for some people. But it also dries you out. The voice does not like being dried out. Vocal cords need moisture. They need lubrication. They need the tissue to be flexible. They need the whole system to not feel like it is running on sandpaper and bad decisions. So maybe that night you felt a little smoother. Maybe you were talking easier. Maybe you met a girl and you brought her home. Why am I going off script? Right? Okay. Maybe you are more relaxed. Maybe you are less afraid of the sentence. Maybe you tell a story and you don't feel like you are wrestling each word out of a hostage situation, but the next day, now you're dehydrated. Your throat feels thicker. Sometimes you get that thick mucus. Your mouth is dry. You're clearing your throat. You're spasming like crazy. You're dealing with reflux. Your anxiety is destroyed. You slept terrible. Your nervous system's bad. Your body is desperately trying to recover. And your voice is sitting there like, hey, genius, remember me? That's the trade-off. Alcohol can feel like it helps the disorder in the moment, but the aftermath can make the voice feel so much worse. Honestly, that is the cruel little trap of it, because it can create this mental loop where you remember the part where it helped, but forget the part where you paid for it later. That's not just true with spasmodic dysphonia. That is true with alcohol in general. It gives you something up front and sends the invoice later. And with SD, the invoice can be your voice. Now I want to talk about the social part of this too, because I think this is where it gets really real. A lot of drinking happens in the exact environments where spasmodic dysphonia is already hard, loud, you're difficult to be heard. Bars, restaurants, parties, baseball games, dates, reunions, crowded rooms, you get the point. A lot of background noise is spasmodic dysphoniaville. Places you have to project, places people say what every 15 seconds. There are already hard environments for us. So if you are in a loud room and your voice is struggling, and then you have a drink and suddenly you feel a little more relaxed, you might think, this is great, this helps. And maybe in that moment, yeah, it does. But it is not only the alcohol helping the voice. It may also be the alcohol helping you care less. And I do not mean that in a bad way. Sometimes caring less is an amazing relief, because this disorder can make you monitor yourself constantly. You're always under your own microscope. How did that word sound? How did they notice? Did I sound drunk? Did I sound nervous? Did I sound sick? Do I sound rude? I sound like I was choking on the alphabet. My personal favorite, does it sound like I'm a recording that's skipping? You get trapped listening to yourself while you are talking, which is a nightmare because you are not even fully in the conversation anymore. You are producing the conversation, reviewing the audio at the same time, and alcohol may reduce some of that self-monitoring. But again, it's not a solution. It's a shortcut with consequences. And this is where I think the pros and the cons in the conversation matter. Or possible pros, and I'm using that word carefully. Some people may notice temporary reduction in voice breaks. Some people may feel less tension. Some people may feel less anxious. Some people may feel more socially comfortable. Some people may feel like speech flows easier. Some people may simply stop obsessing over every imperfect sound. But the cons are very, very real. Biggest, worst is dehydration. Worse voice the next day. Dry throat, thick mucus, sore throat, reflux, poor sleep, lower energy, less discipline with exercises. I know that one. Emotional rebound. The temporary use to use alcohol as a tool, and the risk that it helps my voice becomes your permission slip. The last one, that's a big one. Because there's a difference between noticing something and building a lifestyle around it. There's a difference between interesting, my voice felt better after a drink, and saying, I need a drink to speak normally. The second, dangerous. Not because you are bad, not because you are weak, not because you are doing anything shameful, but because once your brain connects alcohol with access to your voice, that is a powerful emotional hook, and I am speaking from experience. I think anyone with a voice disorder understands why. Your voice is your identity, it's your work, it's your humor, it's dating, it's confidence, it's being able to defend yourself. Your voice is being able to be understood. Your voice is being able to be you. So if something makes you feel closer to yourself, even for a little bit, that can become emotionally loaded very quickly. That's why I do not want to treat this topic like a joke, even though there are obviously funny stories here, because yes, there is something darkly funny about a voice disorder where alcohol can sometimes make it sound better, and it's the perfect excuse just right there to have a drink. The best part is when people think that you're making up the excuse and then they hear you in a conversation completely sober the day after. They know you're not making it up. It's like the universe looked at us and said, you know what would be hilarious? Let's make the responsible choice sound worse. Thanks, universe. Great writing. No notes. Seriously, this is why I think lifestyle awareness matters. If alcohol affects your voice, track it honestly, not emotionally, not romantically, not with the memory of the one night where you sounded great telling a story at the bar. Track the whole cycle. How was your voice before drinking? How was it during? How was it 2 hours after? How was it the next day? How was your sleep? Did you do your exercises hungover? Did you drink water? Did you have reflux? How did your voice feel the next day? Dry? Were you more tense? Did you have anxiety? Did you feel emotionally lower? Shame? Guilt? Did it make you want to repeat the pattern? Here's the real data. Because the during part is only one chapter. The after part matters too. Sometimes the after part is the part we very conveniently leave out. This would be a good place to tell you a dumb story about the time alcohol made me think my voice was magically fixed, but not only that I had superpowers. Only for the next day to sound like a haunted garage door trying to give a TED talk while begging for forgiveness. There's a girl, back in the days of Myspace, that I meet on Myspace. Some of you, this is a very, very dated reference. 2004-ish, 2005-ish, I was really into dating. I had just gotten out of a relationship, and the internet was kind of, well, no, the internet had been around maybe a decade, but social media was new, brand new. Facebook was just for colleges. MySpace was where everybody met and got and set up dates and all that stuff. It was before the internet was creepy. So I meet a girl, gorgeous, a 10 of a 10. 10s look at her and say, oh my God, she is a 10. And I just start working the gimmick. You know, be a little cocky, be a little funny. It's online, so my confidence is high. I can type, there's no spasmodic dysphonia in typing. So finally I charm this girl into a date and realize, oh God, that little demon's going to show itself. And then she's going to run like roadkill from Robert F. Kennedy Jr. Yeah. So I decide, all right, I'm going to pregame. I show up at the bar an hour early. I start drinking and I keep testing. The bartender knows I have spasmodic dysphonia. This is my bar by my house. I'm a home game for this date. Always a home game on the first date, but that's beside the point. So I start drinking. I get a little tipsy, and she's like, oh my God, your voice sounds fantastic. I go, good. She's about to show up. She shows up, stone cold sober. I just assumed everyone pre-gamed before a date, but she's a 10. She has that thing called self-confidence, and she doesn't need a drink. She didn't want a drink. She ordered a lemonade. As I am there at the bar, having my first test with a 10, and I'm half in the bag, and she's drinking a lemonade. But I'm not spasming. But she could tell I was drunk. Needless to say, the 10 rejected the 5. And the next day, I spent it apologizing, laying on the couch, feeling sorry for myself, and going, I like lemonade. Wow. The point is not that nobody with spasmodic dysphonia can ever drink. I'm not here to be the fun police. I host bar bingo. My entire professional environment is not exactly a monastery. But I do think we have to be honest about the trade. If you drink, hydrate. If you drink, know your limits. If you drink, do not confuse temporary relief with treatment. If you drink, pay attention to the next day. If you are in recovery, struggling, or trying not to drink, do not use this disorder as an excuse to reopen a door you already worked hard to close. That last one matters because it helps my voice can become very persuasive logic when a craving is already looking for a lawyer. And cravings are excellent lawyers. They will argue anything. They will say it's for the voice, it's for the video, it's for the date, it's for the show, it's for the confidence, it's just research, it's a Tuesday, it's 12 a.m. That last one I made up. No, sometimes it's just the old voice in your head trying to put on lab coat. So my personal takeaway, alcohol may temporarily improve spasmodic dysphonia symptoms for some people, but it's not free. The cost is dehydration, worse voice quality the next day, poorer sleep, less control, and the risk of turning a temporary effect into a dependency problem. So treat it with honesty, not shame, not fear, not fantasy, honesty. And if it helps, admit it. If it hurts, admit that too. If the trade-off is not worth it, admit that. If the trade-off sometimes feels tempting, you guessed it, admit that. That's the real conversation, because this disorder already takes enough. The goal is not just to sound better for 1 hour. The goal is to build a life where our voice, our health, our confidence, and our choices are all moving in the same direction. And if you have noticed alcohol affects your spasmodic dysphonia, good, bad, or weird, I'd love to hear your experience in the comments. Does it help? Does it hurt? Do phone calls feel worse after? Do loud rooms make it more tempting? Do you notice the dehydration, the reflux, the anxiety? Oh, it's the worst. Let's talk about the real lifestyle stuff too. Exercises are important, but the daily life around this disorder matters just as much. And this is definitely one of those daily life topics. Thanks for being here. Thanks for taking care of yourself in a productive way and for helping me do the same. And don't let a temporary, smoother sentence trick you into ignoring the full story. Alcohol. Happy Pride.